The Thursday Captain boot is Thursday's most popular boot, and now it comes in a lugged sole. So today we're going to cut this thing in half to see how rugged this boot really is, and thanks to Thursday for sponsoring this video. So now let's go over the boot information. So the brand is Thursday, the style is the Captain boot with the lug sole. The color is tobacco. They weigh 1 pound 13 ounces. They retail for $199 and they're made in Mexico. So now let's go over the information that we can gather about this boot before we cut it in half, starting with the leather. So this is Thursday's tobacco rugged and resilient leather. It's an oil tanned pull-up leather, which is just a chrome tanned leather with tons and tons of oils and conditioners infused into the leather to make it really soft and supple. The thickness is 1.6 to 1.8 millimeters thick. For a casual boot, it's fine, especially since it's lined. And I think this leather is a slightly buffed or sanded leather with a really heavy wax finish on top to lay those little fibers flat again, to give it a really nice even finish. So why would they do that? Well, one reason is the leathers have tons of little tiny imperfections and flaws. So sanding the top layer knocks those flaws down a little bit. So it creates a more even and consistent leather. The second reason is that it hides scratches a lot better, because anytime you scratch this boot, all you have to do is create a little bit of heat with some friction to reactivate those oils, to melt those oils and waxes, to bring them back to the surface, and the scratches just basically disappear. And because it has so much oil and conditioner worked into the leather, these are a pretty maintenance-free boot. You maybe have to condition them once or twice a year. Next to the lining, so this is a fully lined boot. It's a veg tan leather. It's a really thin leather. This boot has a dedicated counter cover and it's leather. So for a rugged boot, having that, I was really happy to see that. Next to the construction, so this is a Goodyear welted boot, and it's a 360 Goodyear welt, meaning this welt stitch goes all the way around the boot. It's not nailed down in the heel like we've seen in some of the Pacific Northwest boots, and it's not glued together kind of like we saw the Brunts. It's a true 360 Goodyear welt with a leather midsole and the rubber outsole glued onto the leather midsole. The stitching doesn't go all the way through the sole like we've seen in some of the Nicks and stuff that are really heavy duty work boots, but these are more casual boots, so glued on is just fine, and it's pretty common, especially for this price point. And then speaking of the outsole, this is Thursday's Storm King pure rubber outsole. It's a 75 Shore A, so a nice density, but still having a little bit of give. And according to Thursday, the abrasion resistance is 3 times more stringent than the shoe industry standard, and the tear strength is 4 times more stringent than the shoe industry standard. And that's what I like about doing these sponsored videos, is you get a lot more of the information. And obviously it could be skewed, but I like having those little bits of information on why and how and the durometer and all these things to really, because sometimes you get these boots and you can just tell it's a crumbly outsole, but having the data to back it up is really nice. But as for the structure of this outsole, I don't know if this heel is a solid piece of rubber and if there's voids in it and how it's all structured, so I guess we'll see when we get it cut in half. And then next to the midsole and what's on the inside, the only things that I know for sure is that it does have a steel shank and it has that cork filling that Thursday usually does. And then to the fit, feel, and look, which might be the most important aspect of this boot. Most boots that you see with a lug sole, they're a work boot, and so you have a really big toe, a tall toe box, a wide toe box, they're big and chunky. They're not a nice dressier looking boot, but what makes this boot really stand out is it's one of the only boots with a nice heavy lugged sole with a really slim, sleek silhouette on the upper. It's really a unique hybrid of that lug sole and that classier, almost dress style that Thursday is known for. Thursday just does a really good job of finding holes in the market and making a product to fill that hole. So that's everything we know from the outside, but we got really to judge this boot, we got to see what's on the inside, so let's cut it in half. Okay, we got it cut in half. Let's see what's inside. So the first thing I noticed right off the bat is the toe cap on this boot, and it's not a true toe cap. And what I mean by a toe cap is a lot of the work boots out there and more heritage style boots have this extra layer of leather on the toe to add a little bit of extra protection from wear resistance, because when you're really working and you're bending down and you're on your knees a lot and scuffing your boots up, one of the first places that wears out is the toe. But these Thursday Captain boots, it's a fake toe cap, meaning that the vamp, as soon as it gets to that toe cap, is skived down to nothing, and then the toe cap is sewn on top, and so it's always just one single layer across this toe. So it doesn't really add any protection at all. It's just for the look of the toe cap. So why would they do that? Why would they not just do a true toe cap? Well, once again, this boot is a slim silhouette, and with an extra layer of leather on top, you just make that boot a little bit more chunky. And so they've emphasized the look over the durability on this particular part of the boot. And the other thing is, I was really surprised at the amount of voids in the heel right here. The more voids you have in the heel, the more squish you get, the more comfortable it is, the more lightweight the boot is. So it really just depends on what you value most, because those really solid rubber heels are almost too hard to walk in. They don't give you any squish at all, and they're really hard underfoot. And one issue with having this big of voids and this many voids in a heel is, as you slowly wear these boots in, these columns in the middle can create high spots, and the voids create low spots that can wear out the fiberboard prematurely and give you kind of an uneven feel underneath your heel. But the nice thing is we've got plenty of material between your foot and those voids. We got that fat slab of leather, the cork, the compressed cardboard, the fiberboard, and then the insole with all the foam. So it really isn't a big deal, and I think they've done it right. I think for this boot, the comfortability is prioritized over the durability, because there's still plenty of rubber in the heel where most people wear their boots out first anyway. If there was a void right here, I'd have a lot more issues with it, but it's done in a smart way. And then the other thing I noticed is it is a little bit thinner than a Vibram outsole. The lugs aren't quite as deep, and the actual thickness of the outsole isn't quite as thick. And as for what else is on the inside of this boot, it's pretty similar to every other Thursday boot we've cut apart. Really, the only difference is the lugged outsole on the bottom of the boot. So when it comes down to it, this boot is an aesthetics first type boot. It's a form before function, and you can take these on a light hike, but they're not a hiking boot. You can work a little bit in these boots, but they're far from a work boot. These are a casual, good-looking boot with a touch of the ruggedness and the versatility of a lugged outsole. They're just a good all-around casual boot that you can do just a little bit of everything in, with the emphasis on the look of the boot and the price of the boot. Do I think this is not a durable boot? I think it's still just as durable. You've got a lot of the premium materials that Thursday is known for, and the best thing that I love about Thursday is the parts that they can skimp on and save a little bit of money on, they do, and the most important aspects they keep premium. That's why you got the leather midsole and the nice leather upper, and I guess the only thing I wish it was a true toe cap. But other than that, it's a pretty decent boot, and nobody's really buying these boots for a hiking boot or a work boot. People are buying this boot because they love their Thursday boots and they love their Captains with the smooth sole, and they want something a little bit more rugged that's a little bit more versatile, and that's exactly what this boot is, and I think they do a good job of doing it. So thank you guys for watching. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to support the channel. It's the only number that sponsors care about that help fund the channel. And let me know what you think of these and what your experience is with them. And thank you so much for watching. See ya.